Hello students, welcome to zoology class. Hope all of you are fine. Today, in continuation to my presentations on strategies for enhancement of food production, I will be taking part 4, and that part is the pisciculture. And we have already discussed about the cattle farming, then poultry farming, then apiculture, and today it is pisciculture. So, what is pisciculture? So pisciculture is basically the fish rearing and fish production. So fish production or the fish farming, it is a form of aquaculture in which fishes are raised in enclosures to be sold as food, and fish are a very high source of proteins and have great nutritional value. Fish production was initially dependent on fish capturing. However, most of the captured fish were used for industrial purposes and were hardly consumed by man. So, alternative method to increase fish production was devised, which includes farming and husbandry of the economically important aquatic organisms, and this is known as aquaculture or the pisciculture. So what is pisciculture basically? So pisciculture actually includes the fish farming, and fish farming, it is a form of aquaculture. Aqua means water, so culture in the water. When we talk about the aquaculture, it means we are talking about the culture of many aquatic organisms, and when we talk about pisciculture means we are talking about the culturing of the fish. So fish culture we are taking care of here in this presentation, and fish are cultured because fish is a very high source of protein and it has a much nutritional value. And actually, basically, fish production was dependent on only fish capturing from the water bodies, either from the freshwater bodies or from the marine water. But most of the captured fish, they were used for industrial purposes and they were not got by the man to be consumed as food. So alternative method to increase the fish production by pisciculture was devised. So this is pisciculture or the aquaculture. And in addition to fish, many aquatic animals like prawns, crabs, oysters, lobsters and octopus etc., they are also cultured in aquaculture. But when we talk about the pisciculture, we are concerned with fishes. So fisheries play an important role in the Indian economy, and this is because a large part of the Indian population is dependent on fish as a source of food, which is both cheap and high in animal protein. So a fishery is an employment generating industry, especially for the people staying in the coastal areas, and both freshwater fishes as well as marine fishes, they are they are of high economic value. So fish or the fish culture or the pisciculture, it plays a very important role in the Indian economy because the large part of the Indian population depends on the fish as a source of food, because fish is both cheap and high nutritional value, that is they are high in animal protein. And moreover, fishery or the pisciculture is an employment generating industry. It gives employment to many people, and so basically the people who are staying near the coastal areas, near the sea, they get employment because of this fishery development. So many freshwater fishes like catla and rohu etc., and many marine fishes like tuna, mackerel and pomfret etc., they are reared and they are captured and they have high economic value. So There are many methods of fish production. So basically fish production has two main ways. They are the capture fishery and the second one is the culture fishery. Capture means capture fishery means that only to capture the fishes from the freshwater water bodies or from marine water, and in culture fishes are actually cultured. So in capture fishery, naturally occurring fish they are harvested or captured by capture fishery, and capture fishery is sometimes also known as the wild fishery. In this type of fishery no production is done, only the natural occurring fishes they are captured from their sources. And in culture fishery, this is the controlled cultivation of fish in the water bodies, and it can also be referred to as fish farming or the pisciculture, that is the culture of the fish. And the pisciculture is a form of aquaculture, because in aquaculture many organisms are cultured, and in pisciculture only we talk about fish. So pisciculture is a form of aquaculture, as aquaculture is the scientific rearing and management of many aquatic animals including the fish. So fishery is divided into inland fishery and the marine fishery. So when we talk about the culture fishery, fishery is divided into either inland fishery or the marine fishery. So first of all we will take up inland fishery. What is inland fishery? Actually in inland fishery, fishing is done in freshwater bodies such as lakes, ponds, rivers and tanks, and reservoirs where freshwater bodies and sea water bodies join. They also form the inland fisheries, and the method incorporated in inland fishery is generally pisciculture. 5 or 6 species are reared in one water body, and this selection of species is such that they have different food habits and there is no competition for food. So in inland fishery, where inland fishery is done? Inland fishery is done in freshwater bodies like lakes, ponds, rivers and tanks, and in reservoirs are the brackish water where freshwater bodies and sea water bodies they join. At that place also inland fishery is done, and in inland fishery 5 or 6 species of fish are reared in that water body, and the selection of fish is done in such a way that all the species of fish they have different food habits. So there is no competition of food among the different species of the fish, and common varieties which are reared in inland fishery they are rohu, catla, grass carp and common carp, etc. So this is the inland fishery. Next comes the marine fishery. Now, as the word indicates that this fishery is done in marine water, that is the water of the oceans. So with the Indian landmass being a peninsula, we have a coastline of 7,517 kilometers. Thus fishing is a source of livelihood for 14 million people, and these 14 million people they cast their fishing nets in sea or the ocean. So marine fishery is done in India because India has a long coastline of 7,517 kilometers, and along this coastline about 14 million people they reside, and so this marine fishery is the livelihood of these people, and these people they throw their fishing nets in the sea and they capture the fish, and these are further divided into coastal fisheries that are near the shore of the sea, and offshore are deep sea fisheries that are deeper in the sea. So marine fishery is divided into two portions. One is near the shore, that is near the bank of the sea, or one is deep in the sea. And in marine fishery, which fishes are taken? uh, they are sardines, mackerel, hilsa, tuna, pomfret, mussels, prawns, oyster, etc. These are some of the common types of marine organisms which are captured in the marine fishery. So these are the two types of the fishery, inland fishery and the marine fishery. Then in culture fishery, culturing of the fishery, it is known as fish farming. So either we capture the fish from the natural source or we culture the fish. And when we culture the fish, it is known as fish farming. And how fish farming is done? About half the fish consumed today is raised globally through fish farming. So most of the quantity of the fish which is consumed globally, that is got because of the fish farming. And some of the common fishes which are reared or which are cultured, they include tuna, salmon, then halibut, cod and trout. These are some of the fishes which are cultured. They are produced by the process known as fish farming. And the aqua farms can be in the form of mesh cages submerged in water or concrete enclosures on land. So where this fish farming is done? This fish farming is done either in water where meshed cages are thrown, or these fish farming ponds, they are concrete and they are present on the land. So fish farming is done at two places. One in the cages which are submerged in water, or on the concrete enclosures on the land. And what are the methods of the fish farming? Fish farming involves the following methods. Number one is extensive fish farming. What is extensive fish farming? So in this type of fish farming, economic and labor inputs are low. So this is not expensive and it is low in manpower, and only the natural food production plays a major role in this type of farming, and fertilizers can be added to increase the fertility, and so when fertility is increased, the production of fish is more. So this is the extensive fish farming. Number two is semi-intensive fish farming, and in this type of fish farming, it implies moderate levels of economic and labor inputs, and the production can be increased by supplementary feeding or addition of the fertilizers, and the production of fish is higher by semi-intensive fish farming. And the third type of fish farming, or the third method of fish farming, is intensive fish farming. And in this intensive fish farming, the fish are stocked with as many fish as possible, and the fish are fed with supplementary feed, and there is more production of the fish. So these are the three types of, or three methods of fish farming. Then advantages of fish farming. Why fish farming is done? So there are some of the advantages of fish farming. Number one is that the farmed fish provides high quality protein for human consumption, because the fish which are got as a result of fish farming, they are having a high quality, and so they have a high protein content. So the shark liver oil and cod liver oil, they are natural sources of vitamin A, C and D. So cod liver oil and shark liver oil is also got because of fish farming, and these are the important natural sources of vitamin C, A and D. And fish farming can be integrated into the existing farm to create additional income and improve the water management. So fish farming creates a source of additional income. Then in addition to it, large part of the Indian population is dependent on the fish as a source of food, which is both cheap and high in protein content. So this is also the advantage of fish farming. And fishery, it gives employment to many people because it is an employment generating industry, especially for the people who stay in the coastal areas. And both freshwater fishes and marine water fishes, they are of high economic value. So they give employment to many people. And fish waste is also used in making of the fertilizers. So the fish waste is consumed as fertilizers. And shark feather is used for making handbags and shoes, etc. And they are supposed to be fashion accessories, and they fetch a very high price. So the shark leather, it is used for making handbags and shoes. So this is supposed to be fashion accessory, and it gives a very high price. So these are some of the advantages of the fish farming. So this is all about the pisciculture. So in it we have studied different types of fish farming, then different methods of fish farming, and what are the advantages of fish farming or the pisciculture. So you have to go through this presentation, you have to prepare notes, you have to revise it, and in case you have any difficulty in understanding the topic on pisciculture, you can note down the doubts, and when you come for the class, you can discuss those doubts with me. Thank you.